it off the overhead light.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, settle.
Hey, we got chat and video working okay here? Or sound and video, rather. Hey.
Girls, chill.
Yeah. Sound actually working this time. Looks like video is maintaining 30 for once. Should probably get the oven preheating. Good deal.
Hey,
Girls, chill. Camera angle's a little weird this time. It's got a bunch of crap in the way. See if that actually works here. Let's see. Cool. Had a couple bell peppers that even dry, the stupid stickers didn't cooperate. So I'm gonna do a little surgery here. So you could use paring knife, but I'm not gonna because I'm lazy. I'm gonna try something different with these. I normally don't do rice to stuff them, but I kind of feel like doing that this time. So I'm gonna pre-roast the peppers most of the way done. Cook the rest of the ingredients in their entirety. And then basically just stick them back in the oven and use that to warm the ingredients back up. Put some cheese on top when I do. Figure the cheese melting is a good canary for that. And one of those times I wish I had smaller hands, but able to mostly get them out. Sort of the easiest trick if you can't reach all the way in is just to pull find one of the tops of the ribbings and just pull the ribbing in a seed pod out from the top as gently as you can. Try to get all the seeds with you. You can see in there all right. Tough to say. Yeah, so you kind of grab one from the top and it'll tear most of the way down. Most of the way down. Excuse me. I swallowed a little spit the wrong way there. Yeah, they're big and narrow, kind of the, not Curtis's fault, kind of the downside of sending her to the store with that specific purpose. But
Those were the fattest ones they had.
apparently those were the fattest ones they had, so here we are.
Groceries isn't hard recently, yo.
Yeah. Also probably just limited selection.
No. Chill.
I figure for something like this, the critical path is get the peppers roasting, get the rice going, and cook up the sauteed veggies, and cook up the meat, remove it, saute veggies, and then go from there. I'm gonna do some zucchini too, and I think I'm just gonna do that last minute while they're in the while they're in the oven finishing. Hopefully the cough doesn't persist. I guess I've got some lingering irritation from the procedure yesterday. Primarily getting intubated for the second time in damn near 2 weeks. We'll see. Got water nearby. Be a little more interactive once I can get these finished and get the baking sheet out of the way. Cool. Yeah, there we go. I was just trying to make some leftovers. Yeah, I got a bunch of veggies to deal with here. I was gonna do onion, mushroom, a little bit of tomato in the stuffing. Get the angle right. A lot of cumin, smoked paprika. Probably gonna lay off any kind of sharp herbs because I think I've got some herbed goat cheese to put on top. I think that'll do an admirable job. So next I'm going to talk about cumin. I've got my small stainless skillet. I buy this stuff in bulk. You can get a bag of it for like $5 at the Indian store. I mean, Indian grocery. I mean like a 1 pound bag of cumin seeds. And the seeds are nice. I freeze the bulk of it, just fill up this little jar with what I'm actively using. Seeds are nice. Some recipes call for just the seeds, but then they also lock in the oil better. And so when I'm out, which I used the last of the cumin on something recently, I dry toast them and then grind them up in the coffee grinder. And then you get fresh, oily, toasted cumin as long as you burn through it in a reasonable time span, a month or so. So I don't do a whole lot. I just fill up one of the small, like the smallest Tupperware I've got. So we're only talking filling the bottom of the pan with cumin. It makes a big difference. It really does add a lot more flavor, especially on meats and stuff where it's one of the primary seasonings. You can really tell. It's nice. Get this to work eventually. There we go. So apparently all they have is giant ass yellow onions too.
Yeah, those are the smallest of the onions
So-
I could find.
Just gonna use half of this guy, I think. I'm doing a lot of sort of ancillary stuff on the stuffing, so I think even with 6, I'm only going to use 1 pound of meat because I got the rice and I got the veggies, so I think it'll be fine. I need to maintain the knife for a while. Sharp enough for a push cut is good enough for me. That still makes quite a bit of onion. It'll cook down. I got 6 of them, so should be all right. Suspect Carissa will find it less alright since she's not a fan of onion, but it is what it is. toasting that cumin, you basically just neglect it, come back and shake it. I'm doing it on medium heat. And the smoke point of the oil is relatively low, so as soon as you start to see it smoking a little bit, pull it off the heat, let it cool down, and grind it up in the coffee grinder. But you definitely don't want to go based on smell. If it starts to smell burnt, that's because it's burnt. Otherwise, it's just going to smell like nice toasted cumin the whole way through. So there's really no way to evaluate it otherwise. And I'll show what it looks like when it starts smoking here. I would try smoking paprika, but man, Pinji's does such a great job on their stuff that it's hard to get away from that. I mean, they just do a fantastic job. Yeah, there's the other knife. I don't use it nearly as frequently. Japanese knife. Miyabi, I think. Yeah. I basically use it when I want very thin cuts of something because it's a much shallower angle. So if you're doing like bulgogi or very thin cuts of zucchini or something like that, it's a good choice. All right, perfect. So I don't know if you can see or not, there's just a few tendrils of smoke coming up off of it. That's where you want it. You don't have any that's too burned. Just a nice toasted cumin smell. And I need to get the rice going. Try to get good coverage of the kitchen here. So we use a bit of rice. I think this is only 10 pounds. This container will hold about 20. I want some extra rice to go with it, so I'm going to do 2 cups. Just rice to have on the side to do with the veggies and whatnot, because I don't think it'll be enough starch in the meal otherwise. The only downside with the container is the handle is attached to a detachable lid, so I'm always nervous as shit every time I pick the thing up, because I just imagine 10 pounds of rice going woof on the kitchen floor. I'm going to rinse this real quick, get the pan out, and get to it. I don't rinse my rice much. I just put it in a strainer and do a pass, several passes under the faucet here. Just try to get out the worst of the starch. about good. So yeah, I realized Thursday night I made a critical chemistry error. It turns out that the weight of salt is not equivalent to the weight of sodium. And that's a wee bit problematic because chlorine is the heaviest element in that bond. So I was screwing up real bad and underusing salt by a factor of 2.5.
I mean, you were screwing up on the good side as
No,
far
it's
as your
not
health goes.
No, it's not the good side. You actually, for my age, regardless of any sort of health stuff, you need about 1.5 grams a day
I see.
to maintain replacement levels of sodium. So, yeah, as long as I'm cooking with my own salt, I can use roughly normal amounts, which is pretty nice. And if you saw the containers here, I usually keep them open just for doing pinches. That is regular iodized, which I'm going to have to use a bit now because I can't go out to eat as much. And that's what I relied on for most of my iodine. That is kosher salt. I've already weighed it out. The fine stuff is 7 grams of salt per teaspoon. The kosher stuff is only 5. So that means an entire teaspoon of kosher salt. If you divide by 2.5, you get 2. So it's about a day's serving of sodium. But if you're making something like this, where you've got rice that's being portioned out for multiple servings, 6 servings of bell pepper, obviously, you know, I mean, if I used a teaspoon in the whole thing, that's only 300 and change, like, 330 milligrams of sodium. So I actually want to use a bit more than that. So I'm going to use a decent amount in the veggies, enough to give the rice a little flavor. My standard for meat anyway is about 1/3 of a teaspoon per pound. So yeah, it actually gives me a lot more freedom. It really isn't going to change my cooking habits at all, which is nice. So if you want that nice rice that's sort of restaurant style and doesn't clump up, you want to cook it in some olive oil first. I usually do that on medium to medium high, because what's going to happen is the rice preferentially absorbs the olive oil. Alright, and I got you right next to the sizzling now. Probably not great. Start to bear with me a little here. It's getting better. But yeah, the rice preferentially absorbs the olive oil. And so once it does absorb the water, it's got the oil in it, and so it doesn't stick nearly as badly. And you just do this until the ends of the rice kernels are translucent, and then you're good to add your water or your broth or your whatever. And if you're going to add seasoning, including salt, you want to do it before you add the water. So do about a half teaspoon of salt in that. It's getting split up over a bunch of servings. If you add it to the water, then the rice will never absorb it. Like if you've done that before, you realize you just get a ring of spices that didn't get absorbed on top of the rice you cooked, which is eminently disappointing. Whereas if you either infuse your oil first, if you're doing something fancier, or you at least add it before the water, then you get a nice result. I typically do 1.5 to 1 water to rice on the stovetop. Cups to cups. So there's my 2 cups. Three cups. Probably put these guys in the oven now. Got the oven at 420. It's a decent roasting temperature and cool enough that I'm not going to screw up the silicone coating on the baking sheets I'm using. I think that's the wrong one, yeah. I'm going to check them at 15 minutes just to be cautious since they are open. Stuffing half peppers. Oh, you mean just doing them? Yeah, I kind of, once I started cutting them, I realized it may come to that. Like cut them down the middle and then just kind of have it like boats. Hopefully they'll soften up and I can kind of mash them down to where they stand up right. Worst comes to worst, I'm just reheating them, so I'll just use a muffin tin or something. Let's see. Don't quite have time to start chopping the mushrooms. Rice is good to go here. One thing, and I like these square bowls because they make pouring a lot easier. Trying to pour cumin directly out of a pan into something as small as coffee grinder really kind of sucks. So that's still warm. That's bad. I'm honestly surprised it started. I didn't have the lid on all the way.
Didn't know it could do that.
Had it on most of the way. Yeah, doing it in half lengthwise is probably a little easier. I don't know. I've normally been pretty lucky at finding kind of the right shaped peppers, so it just hasn't been a problem. But if they're going to continue to be long and skinny, I might have to do that. So there's the ground up cumin. Speaking of pouring problems, I'm just going to go to the bowl first, I think. So yeah, like I said, I use a pretty small Tupperware on that. So I should probably clean out the coffee grinder as well, so Carissa doesn't murder me.
Cumin flavored coffee is not my thing.
Good on her. Like is trying to catch a fly that's been buzzing around here the whole time. I'll take that. So some very nice fresh-ish cumin. Dice these up a little finer than normal to make sure they cook down and aren't just massive chunks creating irregular spaces in there. should start that skillet heating up. I think I'm going to saute the veggies, pull them out, and then just do the meat, drain it, add the veggies back in. Plays a little bit better with plate space.
Monica, be quiet. Good girl, good, quiet.
Rinse this guy off so it's probably just my own OCD there. Yeah, I'm not using the claw technique, but it's still reasonably fast. Still a little nervous about playing or losing a finger, and well, left hand's my fret hand, so. I think peeling and dealing with fresh garlic is my least favorite kitchen activity. Of course, it's probably most people's least favorite kitchen activity. I need more than that. Pan's looking good. No, front hand. If you're right-handed, front hand is the left hand. Handedness for guitars, which hand you pick with. So, get those going. Cook them down on about medium. All I've added so far is salt. While the ground beef's cooking, I'll put together the paprika, pepper, and cumin. And those look okay, but they definitely need more time. That's the olive oil I normally use, by the way, the California Olive Ranch. The Destination stuff was on sale, but their daily use is great. This is the nice stuff. You can just top things with it. I've had it a little longer than I should have now, but it actually tells you like when it was harvested, which is fantastic. Pretty sure it does for both of them. Yep. But it runs a little pricier than normal olive oil, but it's not bad. The smaller bottle's definitely pricier, but you don't use that for anything other than like finishing salads or dipping breads in it or stuff like that. The daily use you can get for like 12 to 15 a bottle depending on sales. So it's not terrible. I mean, it's not like it goes fast. If you're using enough olive oil for that to be an onerous expense, you probably have other problems. Might have ascertained I like garlic. Come back and babysit the veggies real quick. That looks pretty good. I like these little glass bowls for spices and garlic, ginger, stuff like that. You can pre-fill them, stick them on the stove, and then be good to go. You don't run out of space or just forget about crap on the cutting board. Nice little thing to add there. Once the veggies are mostly done, I'll add the garlic. I think I'm going to be pretty occupied actually. That is probably impossible to see. I've been playing a decent amount each day on the acoustic. It's definitely coming along. Notice my finger strength improving, and just able to do more and more things. So it's always nice. Yeah, you can see the veggies are softening up nicely here. Actually, it's about time to add that garlic. So we'll get that done. Of course, I just put the stuff in there and it's already stuck to the bowl. And just to dry the rice out, I usually do it peel-off style, where you put the towel on it for a bit. That way it wicks out a lot of the excess moisture, and I think for this particular application, excess moisture would be bad. Yeah, it's just generally a stickier rice than I'm used to compared to the basmati. It'd be nice if anywhere on the freaking planet had basmati right now. Probably time to pull that out, take a look at it. Oh yeah. Those seem pretty good. Reasonably soft, losing a bit of the moisture. I think I'm gonna have to use a muffin pan though. That's fine. So, Jeremy generally donated some ground beef. It is in patty form, but I don't intend to leave it that way. some nice veggies. Get the pan back up to medium high or so. Misped onion. I'm doing this a little higher heat for the meat, so I'm going to use peanut oil. I'm not going to use much because ground beef is fatty. I'm going to drain it anyway. But I find if you don't put a little oil right on the contact zone, it kind of sticks and you end up with a layer of crust you have to scrape off the pan instead of just being able to flip them and keep more of the good caramelized parts with the meat. Putting together the spices while the pan warms back up here, which it seems to have done admirably. We both had a pretty late lunch actually, so it kind of works out both for our schedule and a lot of people being done with their dinners so they can watch. Wasn't really by design, but it's handy. Some decent love for the smoked paprika here. I'm going to do some Aleppo pepper. I want to add some heat to it. I don't want it to be overbearing. It's kind of the paprika version of like give it some light. Sort of the paprika version of like dried pepper flakes. It's got a little bit of saltiness, a little bit of smokiness to it. It's good stuff overall. And you can't overuse it, but it's relatively mild, at least in my opinion. And then you always need some pepper. Speaking of things I don't believe you can overdo. Carissa, would you do me a favor and cut out 6 ounces of that goat cheese?
Sure.
You see the peanut oil did the trick, stayed on the meat. It's always nice. Look at the spice blend. Yeah.
Okay.
And just keep 6 pieces separate. You don't need to cut them further than that. I'm just going to put them on boxes.
Oh, you want 6 1-ounce pieces?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We did not specify that. You're not going to be precisely 1 ounce.
See if I actually need to drain that beef. Looks pretty lean. Usually when I drain greasier ground beef, I just stick it in a Pyrex, let it sit for a day until it solidifies, and then just toss it all in the trash. I'm not really one for trying to keep beef tallow around. Plus there's so much moisture content to it, the way you're draining it like that, it's not super great for cooking with.
6 1-ounce pieces is impossible. Goat cheese just crumbles.
Yeah, just do your best.
I'm telling you, it's not gonna work. It's gonna be all crumbled.
Okay.
Okay.
Do your best to measure out an ounce at a time. So I kind of screwed up and added the salt to the seasoning mix instead of directly to the beef, even though the veggies have already been salted. So I think I'm going to need to add the seasoning to the ground beef, stir it in very briefly, and then add the veggies to catch what didn't get mixed. Yeah, it probably needs to be drained a little bit. So much for that. think I might need to add a little more for the veggies after all. I think I'm going to need to mix those tomatoes for space considerations. Yeah, they seem to be picking it up okay. So, yeah. Stickier than I'm used to, but reasonably fluffy. Alright, I believe it's time to get a bowl and get to mixing. Alright, we did a purge. We don't even have a muffin tin, do we?
I don't think so.
Whoops. Looks like I might be doing Zita's method after all, if I can get these cut in half.
You looked under the stove?
Yeah, you can check again, I guess.
The only thing I can think of is to sort of squish them into a bread pan, like upright, holding them holding each other up.
Yeah, that could work. Probably need both those.
Or would the casserole dish work better at all? I might need tongs instead of a fork. Okay.
Just move that and...
No, like a... Oh, don't step backward, Matt. There's goat cheese on the floor. Leica, move. I know you want all the cheese. Okay, I think Leica and I got it all.
Just this one. I think I found a decent compromise there. The towel was in the rice to wick off some of the excess moisture. I think I'm gonna have to dial back the ratio just for jasmine a little bit because it still seems to absorb more. I've been using probably the last 50 pounds of rice I've cooked was basmati, and it's just a different animal. So we're having to do a bit of a compromise on the pepper situation here. I think they'll all kind of fit once they're stuffed. At least they can hold each other up. I'm definitely just going to go with Zita's method next time, I think. Get the meat and veggies in here first. Oh, would you wash off a couple zucchini?
Sure. No, he wasn't talking to you. Move. Move.
Worst case scenario, I'll be eating extra pepper stuffing by itself. Be a cruel fate. Well, the smart dog hovering around for the rice that gets flung onto the floor accidentally. Freya just can't really seem to be bothered to scavenge or bag. You pretty much just have to feed her to stuff. Good for stirring, not so good for filling. Downgrade spoons here. I guess I could actually try to show this. Yeah, I think these are largely going to hold each other up, so it's not the worst thing. Somewhat mundane task here. Well, the good news is I have enough stuffing. It's not going to work like that. Bad news is I'm going to have a bunch of burnt crud on the bottom of this pan when I'm done. appears to be structurally stable there. So, got our herbed goat cheese that we stick in the top of each one, because that's very important.
Like agrees.
Was this 6 ounces?
That was 6 ounces.
Wow, okay.
I told you, super crumbly though.
Yeah, it's a little beat up. Well, we can just eat the rest or something. It's pretty good as is. Alrighty. Back to the oven for a while here. Call Leica.
Mike, come here.
Go.
Mike, come here. Away from the hot oven, please. Thank you.
Do you guys have the same problem with Nutter and oven safety? Wouldn't be terribly surprised, I guess. Pretty frequently we have to call Leica away or she's gonna stand there like an idiot and get herself burned. So I'm gonna try to half-ass approximate a flying fish's zucchini where they cut it in much longer wedges. Of course, that kind of is what it is at the end. It's not too bad though. It'll get you a decent amount of surface area. Whoops. This one's a little more brittle here.
Oh yeah, one was one that, one zucchini was one that one we bought and another was from Jeremy, so.
But they do them up with lemon salt and then some actual salt. It's a really good combo, so I'm gonna give that a try. See how it turns out. Finally washed my poor knife off after letting it sit there forever. With good knives, that is my top priority, is making sure that I've got, I don't let them sit. I clean them, get all the crud off, dry them, put them back up. I don't want them dinged. I never run them through the dishwasher. It makes a very big difference in how long they stay sharp. So, just like I took it out of the cutting board. Must be nice to have dogs that are afraid of convenient things instead of just freaking crazy things. Take a look at the peppers. Cheese nowhere close to melting. Everything cooled down quite a bit. Those peppers were out of the oven for a good 20 minutes. Still needs a little time. Definitely reaching the end point of the cooking, at least. So yeah, of course this weekend it's not the fast and convenient meal. I knew that going into it. So here's the lemon pepper I snagged, salt-free. It's got more crap in it than I would normally use, but rather than drying a bunch of lemon zest myself and mixing it with pepper, kind of the obvious choice there, I think. Maybe just a little longer. This one's probably good to flip though. Didn't do a very good job at uniform lengths, or uniform thicknesses rather. It's got a nice smell to it. Very lemony. Goat cheese looking better. Probably only about 5 to 7 more minutes in there. So yeah, the finished product on the squash looks pretty reasonable. Quick. It's got a nice lemon flavor. So try a small one here without singeing myself. Oh yeah, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I got the pepper catching up with me a bit though.
Sorry, it seems to be tug of war time. Careful you don't trip on the Kong that she just dropped and rolled across the kitchen.
When did you move that?
And you got it? Okay, let's turn out the
Cool.
kitchen. Come on. Take it. Don't put that for now, okay?
Touch longer on the cheese. You're fine, puppy. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that when there's a gas truck, though.
For sure, just making sure it was done and not something Fred's doing the other room.
Very whistly farts today.
You never know.
I get those thicker ones cooked through. You're fine, puppy. You really are. You're fine. Taking a little longer to heat up than I expected there. Let everything get down to close to room temperature, apparently. We're just waiting on the peppers at this point. You're fine, puppies. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully it was useful and or entertaining. Get those peppers out in a few minutes and have a last look at everything. Call it a day. You're fine, Leica. Oh, really?
I don't see any geckos on the window, sweetheart. No, I think you're making it up. It's fine.
She's a very loud dog. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna bother with guitar for like 4 minutes, but yeah, she's probably getting hungry.
Me? Yeah.
Carissa's also hungry.
Leica? Definitely.
Yeah, I had to adjust recipes. I had to throw out a lot of the plantains I made, sadly. My potassium was high yesterday. It's back down normal now, but bananas and plantains are off the menu until it looks like fluid balance is correct. So, very sad. So I did just berries and yogurt and ice for the smoothie this morning, and I had not realized how much sweetness the bananas added. It was pretty noticeable. I knew they added, were a good thickener and added a little flavor, but yep. Oh yeah. What do you really think?
You had to ask.
Yeah, well. That's interesting. Yeah, it's so weird how the symptoms vary from disease to disease. They want me to eat protein like a fiend because blood protein was a bit low. They generally just haven't cared about fat. I mean, they don't want me to eat like deep fried crap every day, but the only restriction I'm on is, quote, low sodium. And that's really just 2 grams a day, which, I mean, I didn't realize USDA recommended is 2.3 grams a day anyway, so it's really not that onerous. Leica, you're fine.
I stuck my tongue out at her.
Oh, okay.
It was me.
Carissa getting the dogs in trouble here. Alright, let's see what we got. You need to call her again.
Here, Leica. Good girl. Looking better.
So, trying to get out of the way of my shadow there. Got some melted goat cheese and semi-melted goat cheese and reheated peppers and ingredients in there. And there's the squash plate. Got leftover rice to have with it if I want more starch. So, yeah. Pretty reasonable amount of food. It'll last us 3 meals, but yeah, it definitely took a decent while. And again, I'm moving a bit slower. I mean, that's, I think probably knock off 25-30% of all of this just because, like, for normal cooking. Also, just trying to manage a stream while I'm doing it adds a bunch. Like, I didn't anticipate how much time that adds. But, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to eat. So, once again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't followed, follow. I'm going to get multi-stream up and going on YouTube. Looked around on Amazon and saw that USB cameras and microphones were actually quite a bit cheaper than I expected, so I've got one each in the mail. Also just have a shit ton of credit card points. And apparently Capital One is playing nice with Amazon again. They'll actually just let you link the points to the card. It's a 1.25 to 1 conversion rate, not a 1 to 1. But if you got a lot of points, it's still nice, and you don't have to wait on those stupid gift cards. So I'm gonna try to get it set up to where I can run off a laptop and have a nice dedicated camera with a good view of the room, and then be able to use a phone for up close stuff as kind of a picture-in-picture thing. And then just set the mic up to where it's recording from across the room. That'll be something I'll try. I'll probably have to get you guys to help with in terms of gain. Just pick me up, but not the sizzling and whatnot. And I should be talking louder in the future once my throat is healed up more. So yeah, thanks again, and you guys have a good night.
We need a cool sign-off phrase.
Cool sign-off phrase.
Mm-hmm.